So I hope that everybody can see me and hear me, although the picture here, the camera, is not the best at the moment. My camera is not the best at the moment here on the laptop because I'm sitting in my kitchen and I've got 3 windows here from from 2 sides. And the sun is shining in brightly. And so I just hope that people can see me more or less. Doesn't matter. So I'm streaming about the subject today. Why do so many people like to watch Haredi TV series? Not only in Israel, but all over the world. And all over the world, it's mostly Gentiles. They are not even Jewish, those people. So why do people like to watch those series? So in Israel, for instance, especially secular Israelis, also national religious or whoever, like to watch those series because they like to peek into someone else's living room. They want to see what's going on. You know, there's this Haredi society, this ultra-Orthodox, as you call it, society. They wear like these strange, funny clothes, and they have the Streimelon, the fur hat, and you know, they keep themselves kind of separate from ordinary society. So they have their own lives, they have their own mentality, they have their own behavior, and many times they have their own neighborhoods or their own towns or villages or whatever. So they keep themselves a kind of separate. And the ordinary Israeli, doesn't matter if he's secular or, let's say, national religious, Dati Leumi, usually doesn't really know too much about Haredi society or how Haredim live. So there are rumors and the media reports, and you know, you see certain things, documentaries on TV, on YouTube, you read certain things on social media or in newspapers, whatever, and people talk. Mostly people who are not part of Haredi society and who've heard some rumors from others and others and others, and there's a rumor of the rumor of the rumor. So people think they know, but they actually don't know because they are not part of society. But they would love to know, you know, is this really true that Haredim like have sex with a hole in the sheet or something like that? You know, there are all kinds of imaginations, expectations, rumors, you know. So people would always like, and especially Israelis are very curious. They would also like to peek into your living room, what's going on. You know, Israelis always have the feeling, you know, they always have this drive to know what's going on, what your neighbor does. And so it's the same with Haredi society. And because it's a very closed society, and you know, they look a little different and they behave different, so people would love to know what's going on in their living rooms. And it's the same abroad, like in diaspora, in Galut, as we say. So also many Gentiles would love to know what's going on in this kind of closed-off society, in this kind of separate society. They also see like strange clothing, certain kinds of behavior. And the same as Israelis, they would also love to know what's going on in someone else's living room. How do these people actually live? What kind of life do they lead? And Israelis, certain Israelis, as well as certain people living abroad, mostly Gentiles, they are also looking for, you know, they have their prejudices. They've heard things like Haredim, you know, these prejudices like they don't go to the army, they don't work, they just take money from the government, whatever, all these prejudices. And they are looking in this TV series, know everything about Haredi society. But you have to make a difference between, you have to see the difference, and never forget this, between Haredi society living in Israel and Haredi society living in the United States, for instance. Because in the United States you have American Haredim with an American, if they want it or not, they are Americans and they have an American attitude, an American kind of mindset, whatever. They are Americans. But in Israel, it's a very different mentality. This applies to everyone, not only to Haredim. It's a very different society. Society in Israel works in very different ways. As you will know, as soon as you make Aliyah, you will notice that. There's no escape. And mentality is very different. And although when Haredim from the United States come to visit their relatives, or they come for certain simchas, for certain festive activities or whatever, so they can, if they know Yiddish, so they can get along with Yiddish within their society. So it makes it much easier for them. But you have, as I said, Gentiles and Jews in Israel. They are watching this series because they are curious. They want to learn something about a very different society. Although they may hate it, or they may totally dislike it or not agree with it, but they would love to know what's going on. Or they also want their prejudices confirmed. Haredim in Israel, for instance, or at least certain Haredim, usually Haredi society does not use TV sets. Most Haredim don't have a television at home. Many have internet, but usually as a Haredi, usually, I'm not saying everybody, there are exceptions, they don't use a TV. They don't watch TV. I also don't have a TV. I'm not Haredi, but I don't use a TV because there's lots of garbage on TV, on Israeli TV. So Haredim, or many Haredim, like especially the younger ones, it depends who it is. I'm talking about a certain Litvish, I wouldn't say modern, but Litvish young people, yeshiva guys, kind of mindset. They go downtown in Jerusalem, here where I live. They go downtown and they go into certain little places where you can also watch TV. It's not a pub, it's something else, but where you can also watch TV. And they like to watch, or they used to like to watch, series, like the most famous series is Shtisel. So Haredim, when they watch these series, this Haredi series about themselves, they are not curious about, they know how they live. But they are curious about how Israeli society views them. But even more so, they are looking for mistakes. In those series, there are many, many mistakes, also in Shtisel. Also, Shtisel has, although Shtisel has like, I think 1 or 2 Haredi advisors, or people who used to be Haredi or whatever, but there are mistakes in Shtisel. And of course, these series, including Shtisel, they want a high rating. So they add like scandals, like, I don't know, certain kind of sex stories and, scandals, intrigues, whatever. So to make it more exciting. You know, if you just watched a TV series about ordinary Haredi life, you would be very bored, because it's a very normal society also. Of course, they live in a different way or they behave in a different way, but the ordinary daily life is the same. So people would be very bored. So all these producers and everybody and writers, script writers, they have to add scandals into those series to make it more exciting and to get a high rating. And it's, you know, sometimes it's totally exaggerated what they show, also in Stissel. You know, Stissel, I don't know if you know where Stissel comes from. Stissel used to be or is a restaurant, a Haredi restaurant, not in Mea Shearim, but in the, you know, in the next door neighborhood called Geula. It used to be in Malchei Israel Street, and I used to go to Stissel a lot. And one of the producers or writers or whoever is in charge of Stissel once said in an interview, he was driving through Malchei Israel Street. It's like a shopping street, a Haredi shopping street in the Geula neighborhood here in Jerusalem. And he was driving or walking or whatever, and he was looking for a name for his new TV series, and he was passing this restaurant. And right above the entrance door, there's a sign saying Stissel. So he took this, he liked it, and he took it as a name for his TV series. But you know what, the restaurant Stissel, that had very good food. I went there every Thursday afternoon. They had very good food. Not so cheap, but what is cheap in Israel? But I went there every Thursday afternoon. And what was different when you went to Stissel, to the restaurant, as opposed to what you know maybe from your daily, ordinary life, men and women sat separately. Unless there was a married couple. Married couples were allowed to sit together at one table, but everybody else, like there were women tables and there were men's tables, and so everything was kept separate. And already a while ago I was looking for Stissel. I saw that it's not there anymore. I would love to go because I love the food. I don't care where I sit. I can sit on the roof. But I just love their food. And I heard that they moved, but I don't know to where. So maybe if you know to where they moved, maybe you can let me know. But you know, it's a problem. When you have a TV series called Stissel, okay, fine. But when you have the restaurant called Stissel, the original Stissel place, so to speak, you know, you have tourists who watch this series. It doesn't matter if it's Israeli tourists or people from abroad. They see Stissel in Geula, this restaurant, and everybody associates it with the TV series. And maybe I meet Mishpachat Stissel, like the Stissel family, which isn't true, but you know, they want to go inside. And it's mostly then secular Jews or Gentiles. And I'm not saying they are not wanted in Stissel, but you know what? Not in groups. The restaurant used to be too small. There is no room for two groups, and there is no room for people, even if you are a good customer, to, you know, not to behave in a appropriate religious from Jewish Haredi way. You know, you can't just, you know, overrun the place and sit wherever you want and ignore the rules. You can't do this. And maybe this is a reason also why Stissel moved location. I don't know. I don't know if it still exists, but it's a pity that it's not there anymore. But what can I say? But The main reason, according to my opinion, is why people watch these Haredi TV series, and there are plenty of TV series at the moment already. It's even too much, because they are curious. They want to know something about a society they don't know, because they don't have a chance to have a look or to get closer to this society. Because Haredi society sticks to itself. It's not that they are locking themselves off, or that they don't interact with regular, ordinary Israeli society. This is not true. But when they live, they keep themselves separate. So you can't really, have a peek into their living room or whatever. So you depend on newspaper articles or whatever. But you don't really get a closer look. The question is, if you get a close look because you're watching those series. Yes and no. You have to have a lot of understanding, and you have to know why Haredim act in a certain way and why they behave like this. So if you don't have any knowledge about halachot, like Jewish rules and laws and everything, many times you don't understand that it makes sense the way they act or why they do this, that there is a reason. As an outsider, you don't always understand what's going on and why people do it this way. You can guess, you can make up your own mind. But when you sit at home in your living room, how do you know that your opinion is right or wrong? You may be completely wrong, but you don't have anyone to check with. On the other hand, TV producers, authors, writers, journalists, they love to pick up this subject, like Haredim, ultra-Orthodox Jews, in whatever way, to make money. People want to, they write about this. Most people have no real clue, but they do some research and read something here and there, and then they put everything together into one book. And they want to sell. They want to earn money. And Haredi topics sells quite well, as you see with Stissel. TV producers want to make money, they want to have the rating, and writers and journalists, many writers, they are also looking for an academic career, so they approach the whole Haredi subject as an academic with studies and you name it. When you read those books, it sounds, as a Haredi or something, it sounds very funny, very strange, but it's a matter of, people say sex sells, but also Haredi matters, or Haredim, ultra-Orthodox Jews, and everything connected and going around with it sells. And as long as people watch it or buy books, and as long as TV producers and writers earn money or think they can become famous in the academic world, so it won't stop. It's gonna continue until people are not too interested anymore, and the profit is not that high. But for the time being, I think the Haredi world, and most of them don't know about it, but they provide an income for writers and TV producers. And the Haredi world is not a world like checking everything, what people write or what they put into their movies. and they don't go against it. So in this respect, the Haredi world is very vulnerable. So because people from the outside, like let's say TV producers, Gentiles, haters, writers, professors, they can just make any claim about the Haredi world, and they know that Haredim won't go against it because they don't know about this, and they are not the type of people who would now run to court or make a big fuss or anything. So all these writers, producers, whatever, journalists, haters of all kind, they can get away with all their claims, many times false claims, and prejudices. You also have Haredim who left Haredi society and now write books or whatever, or make a movie or something. But you can only write books and sell them, and you can also make movies and get a lot of people, or TV series and get a high rating, when you make it interesting. As I said, you have to put in scandals, dirty laundry, dirty things, as many things as you can to make it interesting. You have to sell. And you also want to promote yourself as a writer. So I can only advise you what you see in those series. It doesn't matter if you watch Stissel or something else, or if you read a book, whatever, or what you hear. So always consider that many things are not true, or half true, or true. But you always have to see the differences, and you always have to understand the reason why the Haredi world reacts in a certain way and acts in a certain way. You need a lot of background knowledge in order to understand the whys. And it's not that easy, especially when you take a look from the outside into this world, or when you are a Gentile and you have absolutely no clue. So you see all this in this TV series, these funny dressed people keeping Shabbat and saying funny things, funny to you, not to Jews, and keeping all these strange rules that are really strange to you, or funny, or or you think people are nuts to do this, whatever. But all this curiosity, prejudices, having a look into an unknown world, keeps you going, and people continue to watch those series. But how much can you watch? You also get fed up after a while. And as I said, the ordinary Haredi life is very ordinary. People get up in the morning, they wash their hands, they pray, they go to work or go to study, kids go to school. There is not such a difference to your own life. But as I said, in the series or books, you have to add some real dirty intrigues and whatever, as much as you can, in order to sell. So this is what I have to say to this matter. And I personally don't watch such series. I used to watch Stissel up to a certain time, and then it just got too crazy for me when this girl, I forgot her name, married a crazy guy. And you know what, and she was still under the age of 18 or something. She was still a minor, and I don't know, it just became too crazy for me. But I'm still looking for the restaurant, so if anyone knows where the restaurant Stissel moved within Geula, please let me know. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm going to continue talking about Haredi matters.